Welcome to Diaries of a Data Scientist, our podcast in which we share about what's important to break into data science, provide valuable insights also for senior data scientists, and invite interesting guests from different data science areas. We're Yasmin and Kate, we're both data scientists and mentors working in industry, and we are sharing here our thoughts and experiences. Let's go.
Hi guys, this is Diaries of a Data Scientist with the episode 27. And today we're going to delve together into really recently hyped and streamlined topic for the past several weeks. We're going to talk today about AGI, ANI, SAI. How does all of that fit into the data science picture? How does that auto fit into the just AI and Gen AI terms? And also we're going to talk today a little bit about the fact, is it the actually next buzzwords that we're seeing in the data science industry? Or this is something that we need to take into consideration as being technical people in the data field?
Yeah, and one thing for sure, this is not your usual AI hype episode that you find enough like LinkedIn posts about. Now we're gonna try to break it down, and that is also why we decided to split this important topic into two parts. So today, the first part, we're focusing on really explaining what all of these crazy abbreviations really mean, what you need to know about to really have a solid understanding about what's going on. And then in the second part, we're gonna talk about all of these recent developments, what you need to know about them, what is going on with DeepSeek versus OpenAI, what does this mean for Europe amidst the kind of crazy fight for dominance in the AI world. So this is going to be the second part of this story.
Yes, definitely. And I guess right now we can go ahead and delve into the different abbreviations that we do have nowadays as ANI, AGI, and SAI, because honestly, what I have started seeing all of those new terminology as a data scientist, first, I was not ready for that. Second, I was a little bit worried as how all of that is fitting into the nice classical normal data science picture and a space. So the first one is ANI.
So let's start with the weak AI first.
Yeah.
So ANI means artificial narrow intelligence. And if you're confused because you probably have never heard that before, that is okay. But basically, ANI is describing all of the models and progress that we have right now. So that is our status quo. And the reason why we call it narrow intelligence, or sometimes also weak AI, is because these kind of applications, no matter how good they are in what they do, these type of applications are developed for specific areas to accomplish specific tasks. So to give you a very simple example, if you train a model to classify spam versus non-spam mail, you can create a really great model here, right? But this model can only do exactly that, classify spam versus non-spam mail. And if you give it any other task, it will fail. And even if you consider advanced applications that we have today, like ChatGPT or even Tesla's autopilot, right? They seem so advanced, but on the other hand, they're still trained to accomplish tasks in a certain area. So you cannot just give them any task and they will excel in it, right? And that is exactly why we call it narrow or weak AI. So it's lacking general understanding and reasoning capabilities. It's lacking to transfer learned things onto other domains. It's only good for this like kind of domain. And if people now argue, but hey, what about multimodal models that can understand and work with text and images and videos? Yeah, we definitely see that there has been great advances, but these are still considered narrow AI applications.
Yeah. And when for let's say for the technical people, for the experts right now, when we are talking about these kind of terms, we need to also understand that for the narrow AI, they very much, as you said, right, this means very much normal machine learning, logistic regression, everything what we do have so far, it is considered to be in that space, as well as all foundational models, as well as all multimodal models. So pretty much all of those spaces are going to be one of the subspace ANIs. And here, what I really want to emphasize with the narrow intelligence, they are lacking in reasoning and, let's say, generalization. But once you're actually reading this and hearing about these words, you can very reasonably argue, but actually we do have generalization in the models and data science. That is why we do have bootstrap aggregation methods. That is why we do have ensemble learnings. Like, when we are building any models or thinking about developing any new algorithms, one of the cornerstones, or like something in the heart of there, it is going to be how general that model is in order to prevent the overfitting for the test data set, right? But when we are speaking about the concept of the ANI, it is important to note in here that we are talking about the generalization among domains, not about the mathematical capabilities to capture the patterns in the very one small specific task.
Yeah, no, great addition. And since we're using now two different terms again, narrow AI and weak AI, honestly, from a semantic point, there are no major differences. So the research field, those terms are used interchangeably. Yeah, so also just remembering one of these terms will help you. I mean, you can think about narrow AI as focusing more on the scope of the AI system, which is like narrow, as we just heard from Kate, right? It cannot generalize just across any domain, like humans can learn to excel in any domain, right? Whereas weak AI is maybe a little bit more of a philosophical limitation, that it doesn't possess any true intelligence, consciousness, or self-awareness, right? So honestly, like either of those words is fine. I personally don't even have a preference to that. But just know this is exactly the status quo. This is where we've been at for the last 50, 60 years of AI research as well. And this is where we are right now. So anyone who wants to tell you differently, the ChatGPT is already like true intelligence and it's already general intelligence, like don't trust them. It's not. And I already mentioned like the last decades of AI research. So we also are going to go into a little bit of history later for you to understand where we're coming from.
Definitely. And maybe the final touch in here. So for people to understand that even ChatGPT, as you already said, it is considered to be the foundational multimodal model, which is actually in the space of the narrow AI. And here you would have a definitely reasonable question that what is happening with the AGI and definitely what is happening with the SAI. While AGI, this is something that we're going in getting into the field, I would say even perhaps philosophical one of nowadays, because it is not something that is based on the fact. And pretty much the AGI, or artificial general intelligence, is described as the human level intelligence that can learn, that can transfer knowledge from one domain to another domain, that is not strict by the input of a developer, that was not designed specifically to handle tasks into one domain, in a one specific capability. So pretty much, again, if you would go through different articles, through different even research articles, you will see that people differently describe this kind of term. And even somewhere you would see that this term does not have the actual, let's say, scientific of nowadays explanation, meaning that the AGI term is yet to be described in a more specific details in the future. How we got into this field with the AGI is we did not randomly out of sudden started having these terms and even maybe buzzword right now for the past couple of weeks at least, because we just started having DeepSeek, because we do have new OpenAI or 3 mini model and etc. This actually goes back into the history when we started having the first conferences. I think it was in 1956 where the actual AI and as artificial intelligence term was coined. And even beforehand, in 1950, we had a pretty interesting book that was called, like, this is the science fiction, that was called The Logic Named Joy. And pretty much the principle of that book was described in the way that there was a computer or a framework that was able to get beyond the rule-based algorithms, beyond the personal input, and learn, having sort of the reinforcement learning, and adapt and create something beyond the specifications or like beyond the instructions. So again, just to emphasize, this is not something that just started today. That's what started a long time ago. And you know what? It was not only the thanks to the statisticians or people from mathematics or computer science. It was also a lot of the psychology and neuroscience, and they're involved, because one of the most interesting research that was published, again, in the area in the middle of 90s. So the article was named Society of Mind, not even the article, but the book, where the author was trying to describe the idea that our brain, our human intelligence, is actually not a big, huge, giant machine, but it's composes or consists of pretty small mini concepts that are actually operating all of them together that would bring us to this superhuman intelligence. And that was the idea taken from that mindset into the computer science field, that the artificial intelligence is also consists of agents, where every single one is responsible for different fields, but when they are merging together, when they are working together, we might have something which we can call artificial general intelligence that is on the same level as the human intelligence, yet perhaps maybe not with the emotions or feelings or ethical considerations in that field.
So that actually is going already a little bit of architecture, right? So what this idea describes is that we're not talking about a monolithical system, but we're talking about like a distributed system composed of many smaller units, right? And that is actually what we see in nowadays agents architectures, where you would also have an orchestrator giving tasks maybe to even different sub agents and accomplishing and splitting that up into different units. That's super interesting that this was already like around in the 1986, right?
Yes, yeah,
Amazing.
definitely.
Maybe before we hear even more about what comes after general intelligence, let me just add one or two things. So I think that's a very important distinction, right? AGI is also defined as can perform any intellectual task that a human being can do. So whereas narrow intelligence can perform like one task or like even some tasks really, really nice, as we even see with multimodal models, it's really distinguished by general intelligence. You can give it any task, and even with like just learning from one, two, few examples, it could accomplish it. So it's way closer to how humans and, for example, children are learning, right? They don't need thousands of instances of data points in order to get how something works, right? So with general intelligence, we're really thinking about the system which can take any task and can learn from few examples. And I think something that is really, for me, stuck in my mind when I hear about general intelligence, it could even lead to self-improvement without direct programming, right? So without the developer needing to tell it what to do, it could rewrite its own code. And here we already have the perfect handover to what's coming next, namely super intelligence, right? Where this rewriting its own code would basically the one capability which could lead from AGI, general intelligence, to something that is even exceeding and going beyond human and general intelligence. So Kate, let's hear about super intelligence.
Yeah, definitely. So as you mentioned, and again, this is very much hypothetical field. Yeah, this is not something that we do have facts. This is not something that we've proven like mathematical records or performance. Everything right now that we're going to talk about is really hypothetical. And one of the features is, what is holding us back pretty much, our models are based on the likelihood and probabilities. While in order to achieve AGI and then beyond SAI stages, we will need to have the model give this input of comprehension and coherence. This is something what Yasmin just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, right? Emotions, we also might think and hypothesize that firstly, the SAI is going to be better than the human intelligence, which as a consequence is raising some ethical questions and considerations. Yeah. And maybe right now we can put in here some clips from the movies from back in the 80s when the humanity was occupied by the machines. And also one of the aspects that I was getting into is that people are thinking toward the fact that SAI will also might have and presume the emotions, the ethical considerations in there, the human behavior, not only logical behavior, that is also beyond something that people can have, but also it would be able to mimic emotions and ethical behavior from the humanity.
So it would actually have a consciousness as at that, right? So it would be able
Yes.
to really also understand human
Yeah.
emotions. And I think
Yeah.
here again, it's very important to distinguish, right? Because you might say now, but look, there's models which are already exceeding human capabilities on certain areas right now, but that's exactly the important part in a certain task or in certain areas. So for example, if you think about models that are automatically detecting faulty parts in a production area, right, and making decisions in milliseconds, yes, no human could do it at that pace, at that speed. But the important part is again that ASI superintelligence would be surpassing human intelligence across all domains and would be able to reason and take decisions that might be far beyond human understanding, right? So that's really, we're talking about superlative here. And you might ask yourself right now, so why does it matter? Like, why does it matter to me right now if we're like, even with currently still with narrow intelligence, right? Honestly, nobody could really give you a very good estimate right now how far we are away from general intelligence. But one thing is clear: once we reach general intelligence, artificial general intelligence, the next milestone will be superintelligence, and the step between AGI and ASI might be far smaller than the step that we will have to take from narrow intelligence to strong intelligence.
Completely
right?
agree.
So that is why it's important to already think about, even if it's just hypothetical discussions, to think what is coming down the line. And there's great books being written on that. One big recommendation is from Nick Bostrom called Superintelligence. And he exactly raises some of the problems. I mean, it's a quite controversial topic, right? We're talking about hypothetical scenarios, but we can clearly see there are different camps around this topic among also renowned AI researchers, of if they believe that might be a possible outcome for humankind, if they might think it's a major threat to humankind, right?
Yasmin, what is your camp? What do you think about that on this topic?
Oh, so to give you the full picture, right? So I would say there's like optimists who say AGI and ASI. Or let's stick to AGI for now, because that's the closer. Because honestly, no one will really know what is happening with superintelligence. So let's stick to AGI for now. And many see from the optimist camp that major opportunities to revolutionize medicine, cure cancer, revolutionize the way that we do work today, and might even say nobody has to work in the future anymore because AGI is going to do all of the tasks that will be needed, so human can go back to live, and there might be like a how to say it in English. So in German, I would say bedingungsloses Grundeinkommen. Like every human would maybe receive an amount of money each month just to do their living, and nobody would have to work. So that's like the optimist camp. And there are some major experts like Jan LeCun, who is also Meta's chief AI scientist, who kind of say belong to that camp, who say AGI might still be far away, but who also do not believe it to be an existential threat, and who also see that humankind would be able to control AGI. And we will see that this control factor is exactly what is kind of distinguishing the optimist people from the pessimist people.
pessimists.
Yes, exactly. And also Mark Zuckerberg, I mean, you see again, that's also Meta, right? So it does make sense that the chief AI scientist kind of follows a similar direction as the CEO. Mark Zuckerberg also is belonging to that camp, seeing AI as a tool, not a threat. And then like there's some middle ground, honestly. There's some people who I would call cautious advocates, who say, yes, we do see there's a lot of benefits and opportunities, but we also need to be careful and think about regulations and guardrails to keep it in check, right? To keep it the power that comes with AGI in check and to prevent harm. One of the people belonging to that camp is, for example, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, who says, okay, we must prepare. Yeah, we need to make sure that there's regulation, the necessary regulation, but also, right, who sees it, who is kind of still advocating and actively promoting and researching AGI, right, with his company. He also says that alignment research is critical, right? And we're gonna get to the topic. So what does AI alignment mean? Geoffrey Hinton, for example, who often is also considered the godfather of AI, he also would say, like, yes, we should go for it. It could go rogue, but like if we do a good job in regulating and controlling it, like benefits outweigh the disadvantages. And also actively says, like, this is why we need more research on AI safety and put a higher focus on that, not just boosting models.
Definitely, yes. And maybe just to that point, I really want to emphasize one more time that AI right now, it's our, let's say, new Excel that was created many, many years ago, and people had to go through the paper with pen to the Excels and learn how to work with this. And I guess right now, when we are already in the stage of talking about such like metaphorical things, we need to also be really cautious and really responsible to educate ourselves, specifically if you're outside of this area.
Yeah, absolutely. And then maybe the last camp, which is more the pessimist camp, like some would call them even doomsayers, like who kind of just, predict the doom of humankind, to put it very negatively. They basically say AGI is a major existential risk. It could wipe out humanity even before climate change does, like depending on when we'll get there, right? And to that camp also that author Nick Bostrom I just mentioned earlier is belonging to. So also think about, like, when you read his book Superintelligence, that's more his take, his perspective, and there are other perspectives on the topic, right? But just be aware of from what area you're consuming sources as well, right? And he basically says that he sees a threat of AGI becoming uncontrollable by humankind. It could easily escape human oversight. There's also a quite famous, or let's say rather infamous, problem, which is the paperclip maximizer. I will get to that probably when we talk about AI alignment. Yeah, but basically these are the people who say, like, AGI very likely or could be likely a major threat to humankind. So
but
these
what
are the
is your
camps,
personal opinion?
Oh,
In
I
which
hope to
camp are
avoid.
you?
I hope to avoid that question now. I would probably say I would be somewhere in the middle on this, honestly,
Me
because
too.
I think we're yet too far away from really giving a tendency in one or the other direction. I think that also right now we're still at a time where we can put the guardrails in place, but we also have to actively work towards that, right? So,
Of course.
I don't think that we have crossed a point of no return already where, like, there's no you cannot go back, and you couldn't do anything against it anymore. So I think right now is still the right time to really also think about AI security, safekeeping, alignment, ethical considerations. But I do agree that if we do not do it and we just let it slide and we just, put all of our focus and capabilities and resources into just developing it,
there is a highly likelihood that it might go wrong.
Yes, I do see a threat. Yeah, so I'm not like blindly optimistic. I'm not blindly pessimistic. I would consider myself, somewhere
realistic.
close in that. And honestly, like, I think it's important to really have the full spectrum there, to be honest, because we also do need people who are very optimistic, who believe in it. Otherwise, I think we're also not moving forward. But I think we are as much in need of the people who try to be the voice of reason and, to protect humankind from their own inventions.
Of course, and this is, I guess, the right spot to give a little bit of the ethical talk in this sense. This is something that we will definitely touch upon throughout the next part, of course, but probably right now, what you just Yasmin mentioned, that it is really important to take care of the society in this sense, that if you will look at the articles, and this is something that I have been exposed to for the last couple of weeks, that once we do have something hype around the AI field, please, and this is especially concerning, I would say, the people that are outside of the technical field, and also pretty much all experts that are not very much into the field of the all of those new terminologies, Gen AI and so ever, important to really be critically thinking while you're reading such articles. Because right now, and this is the tendency that I do see also over the LinkedIn, BBC News, that the most hyped articles are not written by the technical experts. Technical experts are sitting somewhere on the background, doing the all dirty work, and they're not really talking about this stuff. So all the time when you're seeing, 1,000 people reacted on the post or doing something like that, you need to assess whether this person is just trying to market it well, or that person has the opportunity to actually spread the news and talk about from the technical expertise.
Yeah, or just trying to ride the hype train, right? So
yeah, definitely, this is really important.
Yeah, no, and that is, I think, like, many people have been super fast now with when DeepSeek was like a lot in the media in the past, I think 2 to 3 weeks, right?
DeepSeek and their O3 mini model.
Yeah, and many people have been super fast to say, yeah, ASI, super intelligence is around the corner. And that is exactly why we're doing this episode, because we want you, our listeners and viewers, to have like a good, solid understanding about where we are right now, what's down the line, and what does all of these kind of, say, cryptic acronyms even mean, and to really be able to get a solid understanding, not just through this podcast, but by also getting further sources and, like, for example, book recommendations to really read up on that topic. It's very important. And since we already touched upon that, the paperclip problem, which is also being addressed in the book of Nick Bostrom and Superintelligence, this is, I think, honestly, one of the most, honestly, it's not funny, but it's somewhat, meant to be simple enough so it really sticks to your head. And like, if I give my best to try to explain it. So the paperclip problem basically means, like, imagine we would have AGI, general intelligence, and we give it a task to do, like one of the many different tasks it could do from us. And one of the tasks could be, right, that we maybe have a shortage in paperclips, and we need to have, like, to maximize production of paperclips. And if you give such a task to AGI and you don't give it, like, the necessary conditions and context and kind of common sense, right, to apply with just giving the task, maximize production of paperclips, this AGI could really try its utmost to do exactly that. and start, for example, deconstructing building in order to get resources and atoms to put them into paperclips. And it could start crushing the capital markets because they are not needed to produce paperclips, but what's needed are the people, their atoms, and so on, and really put everything it has in the world in order to maximize the production of paperclips, to even in the end kill humankind, completely mess with the climate and the environmental systems of the world, just in order to maximize productivity. It could try to visit other planets, which it could use to also to maximize production, right? So honestly, it could in the end destroy the whole universe, just giving the task of maximizing paperclips.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
And that can happen because without aligning the goals of AI with the goals of humankind and the world, and basically the common sense, it could do it. So that's a very important case of having guardrails, common sense, and aligning the value systems of the AI with the value system of the humankind. And people who now maybe think about that may mean oh yeah, then the problem is solved. Let's just align the goals. Unfortunately, it's very easy said and very hard to be done, because how should humankind even align itself on what is the value system to have? Yeah. And then if we really have AGI, or even then at some point super intelligence, why should a super intelligent entity follow a faulty value system that was done by dumb humans?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just two of the very many problems that come with aligning the value system and aligning the goals. There are whole theses and papers and books written on the topic. It's really getting quite philosophical at that point, but
of course.
We cannot let you out of that episode without knowing about a paperclip problem and the problem of aligning AI goals.
It reminds me, this specific example reminds me of a very interesting problem that we do have with AI nowadays, which is pretty much if you give the task without properly giving the condition to the algorithm that you need to maximize the profit of the company, one of the things that algorithm might do is saying that you need to fire all the people because they're costly in order to maximize the profit. So pretty much this is from the same universe. So
absolutely,
of course, totally agree on that.
Wow. So we've covered a lot of ground, a lot of, research of the last decades. So you now know what does ANI means, narrow intelligence, what AGI stands for, how far we are away from that, and what comes after, and what kind of possible outcomes there are. There's another great book from Max Tegmark called Life 3.0. It's a little bit older. I think it's from 2014, but it also gives you a quite objective view on different utopic outcomes, but also dystopian outcomes of having general or even in some point super intelligence. And a very important also point in that transition is called the singularity. So the singularity is the point in time when actually these kind of systems start rewriting itself. It's a point of no return, when basically humans could not, we can only sit back and watch happen. What will happen from AGI to ASI? That's what singularity means in that area of research. A very interesting point. So look at some of the sources. There's also really great content out there amidst a lot of marketing hype, as we've also seen. And we hope that you also stick with us for the part 2, where we will take a look at together at DeepSeek, OpenAI, Project Stargate. What does this mean for European Union and Europe in total? So that is
a little bit more.
Us. Exactly. What does it mean for you as data scientists, as people working in the tech sector? So stay tuned for the second part. And for now, this was Diaries of a Data Scientist. We hope you liked this episode. Leave us comments, reviews, ratings, and reach out to us to interact. We would love to get your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This was Diaries of a Data Scientist by Yasmin and Kate. And if you enjoyed the episode, Remember to check out our YouTube channel and our LinkedIn pages for more engaging content from the data science world. Thank you for today, and seeing you in the comments.